Rev Rob, Biblical Basketball. The topic today is why somebody that may have less game than you is playing more than you. And we're going to get this point across by looking at the Los Angeles Lakers, their three-peat team, Shaq and Kobe. And then I'm going to focus on J.R. Rider, who the Los Angeles Lakers picked up for the 2000-2001 season. First thing you need to know is J.R. Rider was a killer. He was a monster. This dude was super athletic. He could score 20 in his sleep. He was the 5th pick in the draft for the Minnesota Timberwolves. He went to the dunk. When they drafted him, the night they drafted him, he picked up the mic and said, "I'm going to win the dunk contest." And sure enough, he won the dunk contest. He was the first guy I ever seen jump in the air, go between his legs in the air, and dunk it. It was called the East Bay Funk dunk, some stuff like that. Later on, Kobe did it, but J.R. Rider was the first guy I seen do it. Super strong, super athletic, could jump high, nice jump shot, shot a good three-point percentage. Now, please pay attention. J.R. Rider was averaging nearly 20 points, 4 rebounds, and 4 assists for the Atlanta Hawks in the 1999 NBA season. Dude was one of the best guards out there, still killing, still doing his thing. And then out of nowhere, the Lakers got him. The Los Angeles Lakers got J.R. Rider. They had Shaq, they had Kobe, Phil Jackson was the coach. Man, I know they're going to win the championship. I know Rider is going to be the thing that tips them over the edge. Look, J.R. Rider was a better player than a bunch of dudes on the Lakers teams. Better than Brian Shaw, better than Tyron Lue, better than Rick Fox, better than Ron Harper, easily better. Man, the Lakers had this in the bag. But when you get J.R. Rider, you don't just get his talent. You get his track record of not showing up to practice on time, not showing up to practice at all, court cases everywhere. And I'm not saying he did it, but yo, if you got a court case every other week, you probably involved in something kind of crazy. And that's the number one reason why people with more talent don't always play more, because they come with baggage and drama and other stuff. They can mess up the chemistry of your team. Yeah, they're better than everybody, but they don't play better with everybody. And even with all that talent, ultimately, Phil Jackson just let J.R. Rider go. The playoffs started, and J.R. Rider wasn't even given a jersey. He wasn't even eligible to play in the playoffs. Yo, Phil Jackson's a top coach, maybe the greatest coach of all time, so I'm not going to argue with that. But he saw something besides J.R. Rider's talent that said, hey, I shouldn't be playing this guy. But to my surprise, Phil Jackson decided to put Tyron Lue on the playoff roster over J.R. Rider, which didn't really make any sense. Tyron Lue wasn't averaging more than probably 5 points. He wasn't as athletic or as good as J.R. Rider, but that's who he chose to put on the playoff roster. But as the playoffs progressed, it started making sense. Tyron Lue was known for playing great defense on great guards such as Allen Iverson. Tyron Lue knew his role and understood he wasn't playing to score 20 points. He was playing to play his role. They had Shaq and Kobe. They had scorers. And look at this last picture. You see Tyron Lue working his butt off, contesting the jump shot, trying to guard Allen Iverson the best he can. But who's that behind him? Who's that in the black suit on the bench? That's J.R. Rider. J.R. Rider has more game than Tyron Lue, but Tyron Lue's playing more, and he's playing in more important moments. So the top 2 reasons why guys with less game than you are playing more than you are because they're reliable and they're consistent. Showing up to practice, giving an effort, they're reliable and consistent. And number 2, they're playing their role. If they're a rebounder, they get rebounds. If they're a defender, they defend. But they're not out here trying to show you, oh, I got all this in my bag, homie. I got a cross, a spin, a Steph Curry. They don't need that. Someone else might be doing that. But know your role. And you'll be surprised, it's millionaires in the league. It's guys making big money overseas because they play their role. In your Bible, Proverbs 22 verse 1 says, a good name is to be more desired than great wealth. And that's telling us everything doesn't come down to the bottom line, to numbers, who has the most money, who scores the most points. A lot of times you're elevated because of your reputation. You're elevated because you know your role. You're elevated because you're willing to sacrifice. So your track record is built on more than numbers and money. It's also built on your attitude and what you bring to the table as a teammate.